Hi, I'm Chef Richard. Welcome to Chef Richard's Kitchen. Today we're going to be making pickled jalapenos. And I've made these a couple of times before and they're very, very good. In fact, even though we're going to be using seeds, veins, and all of these jalapenos, the final product after it's aged a little bit is not especially hot. But first of all, before we even get started, invest in a pair of these. Just little vinyl gloves. And the reason I recommend those is you say, that's all right, I'll wash my hands afterwards. Well, wait till all of a sudden your eye itches and you forget that you had jalapenos in your hand. You'll remember quick enough. So, in other episodes of these, we're going to be making hot sauce, and we'll actually be using hotter peppers than jalapenos or cayennes. And for those, you definitely want to have gloves. Now, what I've done here is taken probably about 1.5 pounds of jalapenos, and I've been cutting them up just into little jalapeno coins. I don't use the way back of it and the stem, but you notice also that I'm not bothering to take the seeds or anything else out. We're just going to leave them in. And I didn't want you to have to wait for this whole thing to watch me cut all these up, so I'm just doing the last few of them just to show you how to cut them and the shapes to cut them into. Okay. Okay, now that we have our jalapenos cut, now it's time, let's start the brine. I could pull off my gloves now. For this, you're going to need a pretty good sized pot. And so what I've done is just taken regular stainless steel pan. And by the way, either use stainless steel, carbon steel, or if nothing else, an anodized aluminum. Don't use plain aluminum because we're going to have a vinegar solution in here, and vinegar reacts with unetched aluminum and gives it a horrible, horrible taste. So first off, let's put our jalapenos in. Now, let's add 2 cups of vinegar, 2 cups of water, 2 cloves of garlic, a 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of Mexican oregano. And by the way, you can use Turkish or Mexican oregano. They both have the same name, oregano, but they are far different with the taste. And for something like this, I prefer something with a stronger taste. I use the Mexican oregano. Couple of teaspoons of black peppercorns, 2 tablespoons of honey, and usually a couple of bay leaves. They say 2. These are small, so I'm probably going to put 4 of them in here. All right. Stir this around. Get the jalapeno slices submerged under the liquid. They won't all go, but that's okay because when they start to cook, they'll shrink a little, and they all will. Now let's go ahead and take it and put it over in the stove. I varied from the recipe a little bit that I used to use, and what I've done is instead of putting the raw jalapenos into the jar and then pouring a hot brine over them, what I've done is I've just brought the brine up to a slow boil.
We put these in and we poured the brine over them, and now they've been on the heat until they came to a slow boil. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this off the heat, and we're going to put our water on so that we can sterilize our jars.
Let them cool down. What this is going to do is it softens the jalapenos a little bit, and it also kind of cuts down on their heat, so it's a more pleasant taste when you take them out. Next, I'm going to take a bucket of water, and we're going to heat this to a boil. Okay, now we've waited for a while, and our water has just started to boil over here. And what I've done is I've gone ahead, I put 3 of the pint-sized mason jars in there. I think 3 will be fine for this. If it isn't, well, I've got an overflow that just, it isn't going to be sterile or canned, but it will go in my refrigerator.
All right, so here we are. I put these jars into the water. I just took the temperature of the water probably, well, right before I started this back, and it was up to 198 degrees. 180 degrees is where bacteria is killed, so even though it's not boiling rapidly, it's still plenty hot to kill them. I'm leaving these jars in here for probably a couple of minutes. That'll be enough to sterilize them. Because remember, once we put the jalapenos in there, we're going to put them back in here again so that we can go ahead and can them. Okay, that last one I put in a couple of minutes late, so I'm going to give it a couple of minutes to catch up. Another thing I did while we were off the air here, I took the tops to these and I put them on a little magnet, and I stuck them in the pot here and left them in there for about 4 to 5 minutes. That sterilizes them too. Now remember, these jars, they are reusable. Feel free to reuse those as much as you want, as long as when you inspect them, this top edge up here is in no way damaged. If there's a chip on it, throw them away. It's not going to seal right. These can be reused. These tops that you put on cannot. All right, when you put these on and you can them, it will suck this top down in. But when you hear the pop that it pops back up again, that means there's something growing in there that you really don't want to eat. So make sure you always use new ones of these. They're extremely cheap. Don't even try and reuse old ones.
And it's time that we're going to start packing. I sanitize this. I put it in the boiling water. This is a little funnel for the jars. Put it in like this. And if one of our bay leaves gets in there, it's fine. Now let's put in the brine. Once your brine's up to about 1/4 of an inch to the top, don't put it up there any farther. But let's just go ahead and kind of put the end of our little magnet down in here. And the reason I want to do that is just to make sure all the air is out of it. Now we go ahead, and here's one of our most critical spots right here. Make sure before you put the lid on, make sure you wipe anything that might be on the top of that off. If you don't, it isn't going to seal. Put the cap on and put your lid on. Now it's ready for its bath. That fit nice into 3 pints. Okay, there's our 3. Now what we have to do is we have to go ahead and can these. And what we're going to be doing for canning is we're going to take these jars
and we're going to resubmerge them into our boiling bath. Such. Now, we'll wait, since that was hot water, the brine was hot going in, the jars have been sterilized, we're going to wait probably about 15-20 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and put 20 on here, just because when it comes to canning, I'd always rather be a lot safe than sorry.
Okay, here we are. We have 3 pint jars of pickled jalapenos. As soon as you hear these, when it contracts and cools down, you'll hear these tops pop in. As soon as it does that, they're ready to be stored. Thank you again for joining me today. Remember, anytime, feel free to step out of your comfort zone, and remember the prime directive: cooking should be fun. Talk to you next time.